Hello guys. Today we're gonna talk about the series summary right here. Um, man, like I said in the prior thing, what an underrated show, for sure. Now here's the basic information. Now, if this is your first time watching one of my vlog series, usually in this, I usually go over the overall stats of the show and like just my overall view of the show as a whole. So this is kind of more of a traditional review of it. So the show got has 8.3 out of 10 on IMDb, about 8,600-ish user votes. It aired from 1993 to 1994, and it had 27 episodes. Now, so I also do a thing where I do a little true rating thing where I gather all the episodes, I add and divide the average of the IMDb average of all the episodes individually and come out with what a true average would be. Now, for multi-season shows, I also take the season numbers into account, but since it was just one season, it makes it easier. Kind of like the Flash series that I did a while back. For this one, it was 7.8 was the episode average. So it's a case of like the whole show as a whole being remembered fondly, but each episode individual, some people are maybe a little bit more. I don't know. It's weird sometimes with that kind of thing. The best episode rating was by Bly with 8.4. The worst one was Brooklyn Dodgers with 7.3, which is still pretty decent right there. It was released. The show was released on DVD in 2006. The series starred Bruce Campbell, who we know from Evil Dead, and Julius. I can't believe I wrote his last name. Julius Carey, who was also known in Last Dragon, and the lead director of the show, who directed I think about 7-ish episodes, was Kim Manners, who also known for X-Files. The show is available to stream on Tubi, which is great, and it's available to buy on Apple TV, Amazon, and Google Play. Now, man, this show, I love this show. I watched this whole thing with my sister Erin a while back, of course, during pandemic. It was a great show. I loved it. It had great humor, great pacing, cinematography was solid, the acting was fantastic. And the story was really, really interesting. The mixture of Western and sci-fi tied in together with an overall plot was solid. And the pacing, I have to credit the pacing too, because the way it was paced made it feel like you saw a good full season in bonus episodes in terms of just one season, plain old season. Because the way it was placed with the overarching storyline made it feel like you got more after it felt like it concluded, which I loved because it made me feel like I got my value in knowing full well it was the only season. And it's interesting too, like I had this series on my Amazon wish list for eons, and I finally got a chance to watch it, and it was so anticipated, and yeah, it was definitely worth the wait because I finally got a chance to watch it, and it was great. I love the show. The only flaw with the show really is the fact that it didn't last longer. And I think and I looked into like why it was canceled so early, and to be honest, I don't know. A lot of audience people who did watch it liked the show a lot. A lot of critics said it was great. There was even when they heard it was canceled, it was rated one of the most demanded shows to be re like re to be returned or rebought or realized or whatever. Everyone thought it was stupidly canceled for no reason, and it probably didn't get the ratings they were hoping for. And I think also the show might have been expensive to make. I don't think it was a cheap show, and by watching the show series you can kind of see that there's a lot going into that show, you know. But still, what a great show. Even to this day, I know a lot of people that wish the show came back, and I wouldn't mind if it did. I mean, Bruce, I don't know. I mean, you really need Bruce. Or a remake of the show, I think, would be pretty interesting. But I don't know. I mean, I just feel like I feel like the show could exist now with the way it is with a different cast if they casted it right and they knew what they were doing. But I don't know. It's just one of those things. I mean, this is also something, if you're a huge Bruce Campbell fan, this is a must watch for sure. But a lot of the other actors and characters, like, it's not just the Bruce Campbell show. You feel like this is a full ensemble, even though most people who probably go into it just for Bruce Campbell, which is understandable. But yeah, really, really good show. Really creative, clever, interesting, good humor. Just really there. I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. I mean, it's just one of those shows that it's weird. I remember in the past I did series summaries and they were always go so long because I go so in depth with stuff. But I don't know what I could say about this show that I haven't said in the prior takes on this and right now. I mean, the mixture of Western and sci-fi, they definitely lean more toward Western. Now I think about it, the sci-fi element was really kept managed. But the sci-fi element, they managed to range between like, oh, this stuff could be coming out some years from now. It's just a brand new thing that we just know of casually today. Or it could be something like borderline like mystical. And how sci-fi it is. It is really interesting, but they keep it in control. I mean, there's a decent amount of episodes where they don't do sci-fi shit, period, where it just feels like a straight-up Western. So they really kept a balance. They definitely made aware that this lean, but I think that worked well, and I made it interesting because it established that the world that it is in is the 1890s or whatever, the turn of the century. They really captured that feeling of it. The cast, like I said, the cast is great. Even the supporting characters or the semi-recurring characters are good and solid. And you could have tell that if they did another season, some of those characters you probably would have seen a ton more of, for sure. I think if I was going to say anything about the show, I think that the only thing I think they could have done, I don't know, it's tough. I don't really know what they could have done to make this show better. I really don't. I mean, they really had like two reoccurring villains. One, of course, is Bly. The other one I never talked about, Pete. Now, Pete is interesting because I didn't talk about him a lot in the show, mostly because, one, I don't always remember what episodes he was in, but I remember he was in quite a few. And two, it just never, his involvement rarely came up in synopsis, maybe like once or twice it did. But he's a good villain too, but he's not someone that takes super seriously. He does eventually kind of just, I don't know, like he just kind of gets worn down on villainy over the course of the season. He just kind of slowly just stops really being a villain towards the end, and he's just like, whatever. It's just kind of funny. They just got so worn down from losing all the time. It's just like, whatever. I think I would have. There's some villains in the show that I wished I saw. That's the thing. The only really issue with the show isn't really the show's fault. Is the feeling of I wish there was more. By the end of the show, you would be thinking, I wish there was more, despite it going the best way it could, knowing full well like where it was at. You wish there was more. Especially, there's just certain villains that I do wish I could have saw more of that weren't reoccurring villains. The other one recurring villains that I remember is a certain family. I forgot the name of the family, but it's a certain family that hates the Briscos. They're kind of in a couple episodes, but there's one or two villains where I'm just like, man, I would have loved to see another episode with this guy. And I think a lot of it has to do with the villain being a little creative, and two, the actor bringing the villain to life. Well, like I said, the show's only crime was that it didn't last long enough. And I would love if they bring it back, but they would really have to work at making it feel good and solid. Because it'll be tough, because the show left such a unique legacy. And I think at this point, I would I would wish that if it was brought back, I definitely, of course, lean toward being like a sequel series. I would love to see that over like a remake, because I mean, I wouldn't mind a remake, but I feel like with a remake you would almost flirt with the idea of touching too much on the original this plot, and it's definitely a double-edged sword for sure. But that's hypotheticals. Overall, is this series recommended? Yes, for sure. Um, I just don't really know how else to put it really with this. It's available cheap. It's not expensive. It is available to watch as well. I definitely recommend watching it. It's not I mean, it's not terribly long, and you'll breeze through it a little bit because it is a fun show. It's clever. It won't demand too much out of you. It's just a good, solid show. I can't really think like what else. Like I said, I can't think I'll say about other than definitely check it out. Even if you don't know a shit about Bruce Campbell, if you love westerns, you'll like this show. If you love sci-fi, you'll like this show. But I don't know, like. But just bear in mind that the sci-fi elements aren't like oozing everywhere every single episode. There's definitely episodes where it's a pure western, and you kind of have to ride into that. But I would say definitely give it a go. I say at least watch till the bye episode, and if you still want more, you can do more. But if you kind of feel like, yeah, it was okay, but I'm kind of fine with not watching the rest, I can understand that. But it's only 27 episodes. I mean, if you don't like it after the first few, I mean, I don't know. I always argue it's better to complete a show than never complete it, because you never know what a show's gonna be, you know. But you like what you like. But overall, this is still a good, solid show. Cut way before its time, should have gone on longer, and pretty much everyone agrees with that. I don't know a lot of people that I saw that did not like this show, and I don't think I ever will. I mean, the only people I can think that wouldn't like this show are people who don't like westerns or sci-fi. I don't know anyone who doesn't like Bruce Campbell as an actor. If I mean, that could be the only things. Like, the only way you wouldn't like the show is if you're just not a fan of the genres, you know. That's, or something like that. But like I said, overall, great show. Highly recommend it. And yeah, I'm not quite sure what's the next series I'm going to review, to be honest. It's kind of tricky because doing this, it's a time consumer. It does take up some time. It's kind of hard to do a whole series and maintain it in a reasonable span without overkilling on an episode, on the episode structure. So yeah, overall, really good, really solid show. Definitely a recommendation for sure. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching this whole thing. In case you want to chat with anyone at the Campy Company, you don't want to use the YouTube comment section, we do have a couple options. The first one is we have a Discord channel. Find a link to that in the About page / About section of our channel. We also have a community tab in our channel as well. You can access that anywhere at any time. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Please subscribe and like the videos, and have a good day.